Now let us try to demystify our classes. So this is the class of person that we have created in the last video. For this slide, I had to slightly compress the syntax so you can see some of the namings are different from the names that we gave the last time. So just go with the flow. So this was the class that we created last time. The name of the class is called as a person, and we have a couple of magic methods inside of this one. Now let's see what's happening inside our memory. So as usual, this is our memory, and let's see what's going to happen next. Python will see that we have a class called as person, and it is going to create a class inside its memory. Now this class doesn't hold any data. This class that you can see over here, this is just like a design, or rather it is just like a blueprint for a building, but we don't have the building yet. And how do we know what is the design of this class? We can see the design of this class with the special method called as init. This method is also called as the constructor or the initialization of our class. So let me repeat. This is just a class. It does not hold any data. It is just like a design or a blueprint. Now let us see what's going to happen on our line number 15. Whenever we are creating an object of the type of person, that time we say that we are creating an instance of the class of person. So let's see what's going to happen. Python is going to take the design of person from our underscore init method. So it's going to take the design. So we have the design, and it's going to create an instance by the name of person1. So as you can see, we have an instance by the name of person1. So that is being constructed inside our memory. The same thing happens with person2 as well. Python is going to take the design of person, and it is going to create an instance of person2. So here it is. So this is the basic difference between a class and an instance. Class is like the basic blueprint or the design, and an instance is an object of the type of class. So person1 and person2 are called as instances. The design is called as the class. Now if you have seen my earlier video about higher order functions, you must be knowing that different objects have different memory address. So person number 1 and person number 2 are completely different objects, and they have a completely different memory address. Just imagine that this is the memory address for person 1 and this is the memory address for person number 2. Now let's see what's happening behind our constructor or our dunder init method. So this method is just acting like fill in the blanks. So you can see our constructor, this is for the first name and this is for the last name. And you can see right over here, first name and the last name. This init method just acts like a fill in the blanks. So it's going to take Louis from here and it is going to put it right over here. It's going to take Zappa and it is going to put it right over here. So that's what is happening. So if you see inside the memory, when the first instance is created, the init method is going to assign the first name to Louis and the last name to Zappa. Same thing is going to happen with person number 2 as well. Whenever we are creating this instance, the init method is going to assign the last name, sorry, this has to be first name, not last name, the first name to CC and the last name to Neutron. The last thing that I wanted to explain is all about this keyword of self. Now self only acts as a reference. That means it tells Python on which instance do I populate the data. Or if you want to get the data, it simply tells Python from which instance do I have the data. Let me show this in action. Let us go back to the previous class, which is right over here. And on the next line, let us print out the first name for both the persons. So I can say I want to print out my first person's first name. And let us do the same thing for the second person as well. Just save a file and let us try to run it. And you can see we have a different output. Let me take it up. The first person's first name is Louis The second person's first name is CC. The way Python can keep a track of this is because of the keyword of self. So this first name belongs to the instance of this one. So let me show in the diagram. Whenever we are printing the first name of the first person, the self references to the instance on this memory address. So Python can correctly retrieve the data of Louis, and that's what we are seeing on our terminal. So let me open up the terminal, and this is what we get. And similarly, when we say we want to print out the first name of the second person, let us go back to the diagram. The self is telling Python that this time the person is actually this one, and this person can be found at this address. So the first name this time would be CC and not Louis. I hope now we have a much better understanding of classes, instances, objects, constructor, and so on. Now let us move on in the next video.